Here's your weekly Canadians Abroad roundup. This week we will focus in on Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David with their landmark appearances for their clubs, Alistair Johnston scoring his very first goal in Europe, Ike Ugbo scoring goals once again, and of course checking in with a lot of other Canadians around the globe. So hopefully you guys are excited, and if you are, as always, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub, and let's get into the episode now. We are going to kick things off with Alphonso Davies, who this past weekend made his 100th Bundesliga appearance for Bayern and became the youngest non-German player in the club's history to reach that mark. In his 100th appearance, Davies started and played all 90 minutes as a left back in a 4-2-3-1 system. He completed 85% of his passes, had 6 recoveries, created 4 chances, had 98 touches, and completed 9 dribbles. No player has completed more in a Bundesliga match this season. Bayern went on to win the match 2-1 against Stuttgart to sit first place in the table with a 14-7-2 record. Alphonso Davies was also in action midweek as Bayern Munich took on PSG in the second leg of the round of 16 in the Champions League. The first leg was 1-0 for Bayern, and they won the second leg as well 2-0 to move on 3-0 on aggregate to head to the Champions League quarterfinals. Alphonso Davies started the match, played all 90 minutes, and was fantastic throughout. He had a great battle with Hakimi, who was down the right-hand side. Davies was down on his left, and honestly, it was pure domination for Davies. He did wonders going forward, and he was unbelievable defensively, having 2 very good blocks, 1 world-class block as well against Lionel Messi, which is fantastic to see. Very good performance, and best of luck to Davies in the quarterfinals. It is also being reported that Bayern want to extend the contract of Alphonso Davies until 2028. This is not surprising, as I've been told by a few sources that Bayern want to build their squad around Davies and Musiala. Those two have a fantastic relationship both on and off the pitch, and I can't wait to see what they can do for Bayern going forward. Alphonso Davies was not the only player to make his 100th league appearance over the weekend, as Jonathan David also featured in his 100th Ligue 1 match for Lille. David started the match and played 86 minutes as a striker in a 4-2-3-1 system. He had 1 shot, 28 touches, completed 85% of his passes, created 1 chance, and scored his 50th goal, equaling Eden Hazard's record for the top scorer in all competitions in the 21st century. This was also David's 16th goal in just 25 Ligue 1 appearances this season, meaning that David is now enjoying his most prolific campaign with Lille. Now, to be fair, this was not the nicest goal you'll ever see, as it was a simple tap-in. However, it was important because Lille ended up drawing Lens in the derby 1-1 to sit 6th place in the table with a 13-6-7 record. David's incredible and consistent season continues, and I think that will be very important because I've mentioned this a lot in the past, that if some of the bigger clubs are going to come in and spend 50 million euros plus, it's going to be because he had a consistent and productive season, and he's definitely on course to do that. Here's a name we have not mentioned in a while, and that is Ike Ugbo. We've not mentioned him because he simply just has not played. He has not started a match since November 4th of 2022, and he did not feature in 7 consecutive matches for Troyes before coming off the bench for the final 10 minutes against Ajaccio 2 match days ago. He did feature off the bench once again this past weekend against Monaco, and he ended up saving Troyes a point. He scored the equalizing goal in the 91st minute, and it came from a beautiful cross which Ugbo powerfully headed through Alexander Nubel. The match ended up finishing 2-2, and with it, Troyes at 19th place in the table with a 4-8-14 record. Scoring this goal will do Ugbo a world of good, as he will continue to fight for starting minutes. Troyes are in real danger right now of being relegated, so if Ugbo can start to find the back of the net a little bit more, there's no reason to think that he can't work his way back into the starting striker position.
Look, it's been no secret that Ike Ugbo's time at Troyes this season has been, for lack of a better way to put it, complicated. So this goal is huge this past weekend, as for a striker, it's always great to find the back of the net. He needs it given how the transfer window went in January, where he was so close to that move to the championship, but then it falls through. His coach calls him out for a lack of commitment to the club, and he doesn't play. And he just left to sit out of the squad and then just to sit on the bench. So it's good to see him back in the squad, back playing. I think that shows that he's been working hard. I think we saw it in the game against Monaco where he scored. He looked very lively, very energetic off the bench, and his goal was well deserved, which is, things you want to see from a striker beyond just goals, see the work rate. And it makes you wonder how things will progress from here. I think, as we saw last year when he scored those 5 Ligue 1 goals at the end of the year, helped Troyes avoid relegation. Ugbo can certainly play at this level, and he's shown that he can fit with Troyes. I mean, things didn't go the way they would have hoped in the summer. Both parties wanted to continue the relationship, but then Gank made things a bit hard, and he started preseason late, and that threw him a bit off, which is why he started the season, haphazardly and ended up losing his spot at striker. But it's something where, despite all that, he's been productive. I mean, he has 2 goals, 1 assist this year in around 500 minutes. Means dating back to last year, 7 goals, 1 assist in around 1,000 plus minutes. Never a bad return for a striker. So it could make a lot of sense for both parties to just look at this, because I mean, Troyes struggling, just 2 points since January in Ligue 1. They're in the middle of a relegation battle, just 2 points off survival, giving Ugbo a chance to maybe increase his transfer value, find some confidence on his end for Troyes, maybe allow him to boost that value. And who knows, knowing soccer, maybe this ends up being a fruitful partnership if he starts scoring and they realize that they can put this all behind them. So certainly interesting few weeks ahead for Ugbo.
Right now for Troyes, their starting striker is Mama Baldé, but he can easily play it on the wing with Ronnie Lopez. And if you can bring Ike Ugbo back in scoring goals and find that goal-scoring form he had when he first joined Troyes, you have a really good trio going forward that can hopefully help Troyes avoid relegation. We have another Canadian picking up some silverware, as over the weekend, Sabrina D'Angelo won her very first trophy with Arsenal. The 29-year-old captured the FA Women's Continental Cup with Arsenal in a 3-1 victory over Chelsea, who had fellow Canadians Jessie Fleming and Kadisha Buchanan featuring in that match. Buchanan played 60 minutes while Fleming entered the match for the final 15. Although D'Angelo didn't start the match, she did play 2 matches in Arsenal's cup run since joining the club in January. She kept clean sheets against Aston Villa and Manchester City in the quarterfinals and semifinals respectively.
Yeah, it's always great to see Canadians lifting silverware, and so certainly it was great to see Sabrina D'Angelo lift the Continental Cup trophy. Even if she didn't play in the final, she did play a big role leading up in the quarter and the semifinals. She was excellent, in particular in the semifinals against Manchester City, made a lot of big saves, and even the Arsenal fans were chanting Sabrina to the tune of tequila. So obviously that shows how quickly they've taken to her. So hopefully she can fight for minutes. Obviously going to be in tough there at the goalkeeper position versus Manuela Zinsberger, but D'Angelo has shown well and should at least push and compete for minutes once she's back from injury. On the other side, tough to see Kadisha Buchanan and Jessie Fleming fall, especially given that they didn't start the game, but they did still come in and play a bit of a role. And I mean, that's just kind of been that with Chelsea this year. It's a deep squad, so we've seen them kind of bounce in and out of the squad. But when they've played, they've had some good flashes. Buchanan showed that she's adjusted to her new Chelsea side, and Fleming's had to play few different roles after playing out wide a lot last year. She's playing in the heart of a midfield and is showing well. So hopefully they can continue, because they still got a lot to play for in FA Cup, in the league, and Champions League, which is going to be a busy end of the year for them.
What a great accomplishment this was for D'Angelo. Stefan Eustaquio was back in action over the weekend, starting and playing 65 minutes as a center mid in a 4-4-2 system. In the match, Eustaquio had 61 touches, completed 89% of his passes, created 2 chances, had 3 recoveries, and picked up an assist, combining beautifully with Otavio for a little 1-2 that Otavio finished off, as Porto went on to win the match 3-1 against Steven Vitorius Troyes to now sit second place in the table with a 17-3-3 record, still 8 points behind league leaders Benfica. On the flip side of that result, Vitória also started in this match playing 90 minutes as a center back in a 4-5-1 system. In the match, Vitória completed 69% of his passes, had 26 touches, 3 recoveries, 4 clearances, and scored a goal after smashing home his penalty. This was his 6th goal of the season in all competitions for Troyes, showing once again that he's almost automatic from 12 yards. After the loss, Troyes now sit 14th place in the table with a 6-8-9 record. Despite the loss, Troyes are still sitting 10 points above the relegation playoff place, and they will look to end their 3-match losing streak next weekend. Eustaquio's Porto definitely got the better of Vitória's Troyes, although Troyes did put in a great effort and were maybe a little unlucky not to pick up a point in this match. Next week, Stefan Eustaquio and Porto have a very important match. It is the second leg against Inter Milan in the Champions League. They currently trail right now 1-0, but they are going home. This is a big opportunity to flip the scoreline and go on to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Cyle Larin was back in action over the weekend, starting and playing 76 minutes at the striker in a 4-3-3 system. In the match, Larin had 1 shot, 21 touches. He did find the back of the net as he calmly rounded the keeper and coolly finished it off. However, it was just offside, so the goal was chalked off. And despite having his goal chalked off, Valladolid did go on to win the match 2-1 against Espanyol to sit 14th place in the table with an 8-3-13 record. This was such an important win for Valladolid as it keeps them out of the relegation places, although they are still only 2 points above 18th place. For right now, it looks like the debate is over and the super sub status is gone for Cyle Larin, as he's now started in 3 consecutive matches for Valladolid and looks to be their week in, week out starting striker going forward. Tajon Buchanan was in action this past weekend, starting and playing all 90 minutes as a right wing in a 4-3-3 system. In the match, Buchanan had 71 touches, 5 recoveries, he had 4 shots and completed 78% of his passes. Club Brugge went on to lose the match 3-0 to sit 4th place in the table with a 12-10-6 record. This was yet another very disappointing result for Club Brugge, and it got even worse midweek as it went into their second leg match against Benfica. They were already trailing 2-0 on aggregate, and they lost 5-1 to get knocked out of the Champions League, 7-1 on aggregate, costing Scott Parker his job. Tajon Buchanan did start in that match, played as well as you could probably think, and did pick up a late assist, which will give him a lot of confidence, but honestly, this is probably just a match for everyone to forget. It is also being reported that Inter have a 3-man shortlist to replace Denzel Dumfries this summer, and number 1 on that shortlist is Tajon Buchanan. I really like this move for Buchanan. I think Serie A would be a good fit for him, and Inter with that 3-5-2 system would be perfect. I like Buchanan playing as a wingback. He has all the attributes to make that work, and I hope that this move happens this summer. Coming off the high of winning his very first trophy in Europe, Alistair Johnston was back in action over the weekend, starting and playing all 90 minutes as a right back in a 4-3-3 system. In the match, he completed 90% of his passes, had 6 successful long balls, 1 shot, 2 interceptions, 9 recoveries, 2 clearances, and scored his very first goal for Celtic. It came from a free kick that was whipped into the back post for Johnston to finish off with the header. Now, it took a while to figure out whether this actually counted as Johnston's goal or if it was an own goal, but Johnston was absolutely claiming it, and it ended up being awarded to him in the end. It turned out to be the match-winning goal as Celtic went on to win 5-1 to sit first place in the table with a 25-1-1 record. Since joining the club, Johnston has not lost yet with Celtic. He has played the full 90 minutes in 11 of 12 matches available to him. Celtic are 10-1-0 in the games that he's featured in, and he's helped Celtic defeat their arch rivals Rangers in a cup final. This is very impressive stuff from Johnston. He's really enjoying life right now in Scotland with Celtic, and honestly, the fans love him too. I can't wait to see what he can do for them going forward. Lucas Cavallini scored his first goal over the weekend since returning to Liga MX. It came from a corner which was then flicked onto the back post where Cavallini finished it off. Cholos went on to draw that match 1-1 against Atlas to sit 9th place in the table with a 2-5-3 record. Cholos did not get off to the start that they were looking for this season and have brought in Miguel Herrera to be their new coach a few weeks ago. Herrera has a very successful track record in Liga MX and is already showing why, as he's picked up some impressive results since joining Cholos. Herrera is already putting a little bit more faith in Cavallini, as Cavallini has now started 2 matches, featured in 5, he scored 1 goal and 1 assist, and if he can rediscover that goal-scoring form that made him such a prolific striker in Liga MX, he will be a very important player for Herrera going forward. Over this past weekend, Derek Cornelius was back in action, starting in a cup match, playing 90 minutes as a center back in a 4-3-3 system. The match was sitting at 1-1 going into the 90th minute when a cross was swung in from the right-hand side for Derek Cornelius to score a beautiful diving header to help Malmo go on to win 2-1 to finish first place in the group stage of the Swedish Cup with a 3-0-0 record. They have now qualified for the quarterfinals, and Cornelius will be looking to win his very first trophy since moving to Europe. Derek Cornelius has looked very good since moving from Greece to Sweden with Malmo, and I'm even potentially expecting him to get some starting minutes with John Herman's Canada at the upcoming Nations League window in March. Over this past weekend, Charles-Andreas Brym started and played 90 minutes as a striker in a 3-5-2 system. In the match, Brym had 57 touches, 5 recoveries, 3 shots, scored a goal, and was the player of the match as Eindhoven went on to win the match 1-0 to sit 6th place in the table with a 12-6-9 record. This was a very impressive match for Brym, showing that he does have that final end product, as he has now scored 7 goals and has 5 assists in 19 appearances this season. Brym has had a very productive season so far, and he's probably worked his way into contention for John Herman, and it really wouldn't surprise me if he earns that call-up to the March window. St. Louis City played their first ever match at home over the weekend, and Kyle Hiebert featured in it, starting and playing all 90 minutes as a center back in a 4-4-2 system. In the match, Hiebert had 37 touches, he won 6 of 7 duels, had 2 clearances, 2 interceptions, and 3 recoveries. St. Louis went on to win the match 3-1 against Charlotte FC to sit 2nd place in the West with a 2-0-0 record. This incredible story continues for Kyle Hiebert, and if you want to learn more about his journey, keep an eye on the One Soccer YouTube channel because we have an interview with him lined up. Mo Farsi featured once again over the weekend, starting and playing all 90 minutes as a right wing back in a 3-4-3 system. In the match, Farsi had 56 touches, completed 79% of his passes, created 1 chance, had 2 recoveries, 4 clearances, and put in a very impressive performance for the crew as they went on to win 2-0 against DC United to sit 8th place in the East with a 1-0-1 record. I really love this bounce back performance from Farsi after struggling a bit in the season opener. The crew were not good, but they were very impressive this match as well. Farsi showed that mentality that you love to see from a professional athlete. Just let what happened in the last match go away and come back strong. He absolutely did that, and he looks like he's going to have a very successful season this year in Major League Soccer. That is all the time we have for in this episode of Canadians Abroad. I really hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, as always, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub, subscribe to One Soccer for all the best Canadian soccer coverage, and we will talk to you soon. Cheers, friends!